I 100% manage BAs that are better than me, and I am again blessed that I'm in that position. I am more than happy to go to one of my direct reports, and I don't care if you are the junior BA. If I know you can do something well, I'm gonna ask you, how did you do this? I liked it. I really liked it. Tell me how did you show me your approach and how you came up with that.
All right, so welcome to the Inside Business Analysis podcast. I am your host, Hannah Jacobs, and today we have a very special guest, Patricia. How are you doing today, Patricia?
Hi, I'm glad to be here. I'm doing really well today. Thank you.
Awesome. No, thank you for being on. So before we jump into our conversation today, briefly kind of introduce yourself, who you are, and what do you do?
Okay, so I'm Patricia Williams. I am currently a lead BA at a bank. I've been a BA since 2005. Worked in IT since 1997.
Yeah, that's quite some time, some good number of years there. Good amount of experience into the BA world. Did you always start off in BA, or did you start off in another field?
So I did a degree in information management and business IT, and I was fortunate enough to land a role as a sort of junior or developer until I think it was about 2005, sorry. And I made a transition because I was far more interested in the kind of customer side of the business. And I think just being a programmer, especially back then, I was given the spec. I, wrote the program, according to the spec, chucked it to the wall, and I never kind of saw what happened with that. So I was a bit nosy, thinking, okay, so I've written the spec, so what else is happening? Who's it affecting and how? And so for me, it was like a natural transition to go to business analysis.
You were talking about the number of years that you've been a BA and how you kind of transitioned into business analysis, and that in your current work as well, that you are a lead business analyst. So do you currently manage a team of BAs?
I do. Currently, I have 4 BAs that I manage.
How did you find the initial transition from being a business analyst who's, focused on, I guess, working on projects and doing some work, to then actually managing and leading other BAs initially?
As you know, I'm also a practitioner of NLP, and for me, I have a real interest in behaviours. So, and also working in IT for such a long time, I just really wanted to be a leader. I just really wanted to get people out of their way. So I remember my first job as a leader in service of those that I'm fortunate enough to get to manage. So it's really, for me, it was centered around the person, because I kind of realised that you can't split the individual, the employee from the whole, and you manage the person. You take into consideration not just what they do for their 9 to 5, but what happens outside of work that could impact how they show up. So for me, the transition was quite simple for me.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting, and it sounds like you're essentially, as you said, the focus is on the person, not necessarily on everything else around that, which comes naturally with work, doesn't it? Like, there's a lot of things that we have to think about. We've got projects to think about, deadlines to think about, but it sounds like your approach is, I guess, putting people first.
Yes. And I kind of think that if people feel valued, if they feel listened to, then you're empowered to, maybe want to work harder, to, really drive your career bus. I mean, I am the biggest supporter of those that I get to manage. So, for me, it's a privilege to guide someone's career, grow someone's career, provide that feedback. So, for me, I am in a very fortunate position.
Yeah. Are there any particular, I guess, techniques or particular things that you learned through your NLP sort of certifications that you now applying as a manager that you find actually really useful?
Um, there's definitely some bits. So I think one of the biggest things for me, and this is not just in leadership, this is just in business analysis full stop, because we have so much interaction with other people, our stakeholders, is that people are not their behaviours. So if someone, maybe displays something that you think, that's not helpful, I separate their behaviour from the person, because I just don't know what's going on for that person. And also with NLP, one of the things that you have to take on board is that, as the BA, you are responsible for the communication, and that means I have to flex it to make sure that my message is clear, my message is concise. It could be the same message I'm giving to 10 different people, but I'm going to have to change that message or change my style of delivery to ensure that I'm getting what I need to get across, if that makes sense. So it was things like that. And also with the coaching and NLP, it was the active listening, and also listening, sort of in between the lines, asking effective questions. So yeah, I think a lot of stuff that I learned on my NLP journey, on my coaching journey, really helps me as a business analyst and as a leader.
Awesome, awesome. No, these are really some really key things that you're touching on there, which, as you say, are useful for any person in any role, to be honest, but have actually
Mhm.
then been super potent for you as someone who's leading a team of BAs. Um, what's one thing that you feel, I guess, that you have found in your experience, anyhow, from leading BAs? What's kind of one thing that you feel most BAs, I guess, struggle with, particularly from a development perspective? Is it usually kind of skill set and tool set, or is it more around experience, or is it more to do with like maybe just the soft skills and the mindset that we use to approach our role? What do you think is one thing that most BAs probably need support in, generally speaking?
I think it's a mixture of a couple of things. I think as BAs, we get comfortable with using the same tools and techniques. So the latest book has 123 tools and tips, and I don't expect any BA to know, 123 tools and techniques. But sometimes I think as BAs, we kind of get comfortable using, maybe the sort of 5 or 6 in our toolkit. So sometimes it's getting BAs to just expand and try other things to get that message across. And sometimes I think BAs also struggle with what's next in terms of their growth and their career. So not all BAs, want to follow the senior, then become lead. Some want to do other things. And it's just giving yourself permission to say, I'm a fantastic BA, I have these skills, but what else can I do with them? So do I want to move off, into being a scrum master or a product owner or an architect? So I think those are the two main things that I think that I coach on a lot. Yeah.
And how do you help people, I guess, find that path that they're thinking
Mm.
about taking? I guess maybe it's more evident for people who know that, okay, I definitely want to go down this road or go down this career journey. But the BA role is very broad, isn't it? Like you could go into many other paths. Uh, what any tips that you have for somebody who's probably thinking, yeah, I would like to go into a different path, but I don't know what that path is.
Uh, you know, Again, because I think I take the time to really get to know those that I get to manage.
Yeah.
I truly believe we all have a superpower, and one of the things I pride myself on is that I can tell what my direct report superpower is. And once I know what that is, how can I exploit it for the good of the BA and the project they're working on and function and organisation? And if that superpower is maybe working, moving from business analysis maybe to become a systems analyst or to become an architect, is kind of socializing that with them. I can only point out things. I can only turn around and say, when you was working on this project and it was very technical, you were alive, you were doing this, you were more proactive, you felt empowered, you were running around. And when, you worked on a project that's maybe a bit different, which is sort of really business heavy, like a regulatory project where it's just, you happen to go through loads of requirements, your energy seems a bit lower. So it's just really recognizing what makes a person tick, what kind of drains your energy and what also empowers you as well. And arming the direct report with that information. And, if I see opportunities within organisation that I work for, because we really encourage people to move around, then I say, look, I've seen this. I think it ticks your superpowers box. What do you think? And then we have that conversation. Or if someone's not ready to move on to something else, get some shadowing, some mentoring. That there's a lot that I think is out there within the organisation or even outside the organisation that can help a BA really decide what's next for me.
Yeah, no, that's actually a very good point. It's almost saying, we need to take that ownership ourselves and then lean on that guidance as well from our managers to help us kind of make that decision. But they won't make the decision for you.
And I won't do that. And, and in terms of career development, I clearly state that they have to drive their career development bus. I am the passenger on the bus. You are the driver on the bus. And I will do all I can to provide a bit of direction, to brainstorm ideas, to try and bring a PDP to life, but they are clearly the driver of the career development bus.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's such a very good analogy as well, because, on this journey, we do take people along with us that some are, kind of pseudo coaches or pseudo mentors in some way, shape or form to kind of help us in our journey. But at the end of the day, it's up to us, isn't it, to get to where we want to get to. So coming back then to, I guess, line managing BAs, what is there any particular, based on your I guess your experience, and I'm really thinking about, say, people who are new BA managers, or new to leading a team of BAs. Is there like something that you would advise them to not do?
What the advice I would give them is to be of service, and to really go back and really think about how you were managed. And we all have examples of great managers. We all have examples of managers that haven't been so great, and draw upon that, and to not feel that you need to know everything, and still absolutely know and believe that there's always room for growth. So if you go in there thinking, I know what you need to do and I know how you must do it, and that's quite restrictive. You don't leave any room for growth for you or the person that you manage. So it's really about being open and also having a why. Why do you want to manage? And for me, if someone said to me, Patricia, what's your strap line, or what do you do? For me, I get people out of their way. That's, as a leader, I want to get you out of your way.
And what does that mean, or what does that look like?
For me, it's just identifying. So if I know that you're playing small, if I know that you have a fear, and we all have fears, it's just exploring that with you.
Yeah.
If you know that you are a blocker, if you want to achieve something that you're kind of, and when we get a bit scared, we get a bit uncomfortable, we create all these things, well, I can't do it now because and I just want to examine that with you and kind of say, well, you said that, but is it really true? Let's look at it from this perspective. I just want you to come out of your own way so you can see the path ahead of you.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah. So, no, that's such a powerful statement, actually, and I think, just listening to you and listening to the way you're talking about your approach, I would definitely be happy to have you as my line manager, because there could be times where maybe I am in my own way, but it takes that trusted party to tell you that in a way that you would receive it, I guess.
Absolutely. One of the things I'm clear of, especially if I'm, anyone that I manage, I'm not just managing you as the, direct report, the employee of the organisation. I want to manage you as a whole person. So if you have commitments outside of work, how is that impacting your work, or how is work impacting your commitment? And if I can help you to find balance, between work and home, especially since the pandemic where lots of people working from home a lot more, then balance is really important. Balance is really important. And and to find balance, I just can't manage you as the employee. We have to take, with your permission, take everything into consideration as well.
No, absolutely. Work has definitely evolved into something more than, I guess, delivering on projects, particularly for us as BAs. There's a lot more other things that we need to be mindful of, and I think it's equally important that a manager of BAs is mindful of these things that you're touching on there. But I definitely like the point that you touched on about what new BA managers shouldn't do, and that's to kind of think that they know it all. And I think sometimes there is a little bit of, but I'm assuming, because I've never managed BAs, but I'm assuming there could be a little bit of pressure because the business analysis world. How can I? It's almost as if you can find yourself in a position where you're managing a BA or a team of BAs who are actually much more knowledgeable, maybe, than yourself in a particular area. Or maybe have more experience in using the BA skill set overall, and so maybe that may start to play on your or at least your thought process on how do I manage somebody who is in some way, shape, or form a better BA than me.
And that, to me, is absolutely fine. I 100% manage BAs that are better than me, and I am again really blessed that I'm in that position. So again, how do I exploit that for their good and for the good of their projects that they work on? How do I get them to mentor other BAs? How do I get them to share? How do I get them to maybe say, look, you're fantastic at this particular technique. I love your approach. How can we ramp that up so everyone can learn from this? So I want them to be better than me. Like I said, I've been a BA since 2005, and things change, and I want you to be better than me. Absolutely. Absolutely. And when I'm working on a project, and I still work on projects, I am more than happy to go to one of my direct reports. And I don't care if you are the junior BA. If I know you can do something, well, I'm going to ask you, this is what, do my peer reviews. I'm going to ask you, how did you do this? I liked it. I really liked it. Tell me how did you, show me your approach and how you came up with that. So, I'm never afraid of anyone knowing more than me, because I get to learn from them.
Yeah, it reminds me of this concept, and I don't know if this is exactly what it was, but the concept was called servant leadership, and it's kind of like this idea of not necessarily thinking yourself as, just because you're in the leadership position, it doesn't necessarily mean that you can't receive from the people that you manage, almost. And that's it's such a powerful thing that you're describing, that this picture of leading a team of BAs, but equally speaking, putting the people first. But within that picture is this idea of saying that actually respect your team, that yes, you may be their manager, but respect what they bring to the table, and value that, and even push them forward in areas that they are holding themselves back, or the areas that they get in their way, in their own way, and sort of thing. And it's just a really powerful picture, actually. And I think potentially some BA managers would be relieved to hear that you don't have to be the one who knows it all in the room. You just have to be the one who's, I guess, willing to lead the team, maybe.
Absolutely. And, being vulnerable and, it takes trust. It takes trust. And that's one thing I'm really keen on building up with those I'm fortunate enough to manage, is the element of trust, and to, just empower them to say that if I don't know about this, or we will find out together, because they come and ask me plenty of questions I don't always know.
Yeah.
I don't always know, but we will find out together.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Well, Patricia, I could talk about the BA world and leading BAs and asking you much more questions about leading BAs for quite some time. But if you could have, so earlier when I asked you what advice would you give to people who are new to BAs and what they shouldn't do, but what advice would you then give to people who have got the goal of managing BAs one day, and currently they are maybe a senior BA or a BA in their team, but they don't line manage any BAs at all, but that's an ambition for them. What kind of advice would you give that person?
What I'd ask them to ask themselves is, the way they currently are right now, would they want to be managed by themselves?
Wow.
And again, it's just going back, think about your career and who's managed you. What did they do really well? And if I can, and how can I take advantage of that? And even the managers that didn't manage you well, that's also a really powerful lesson, because then you're being taught how not to manage.
Wow.
I think that's really, really important. Take advice. Speak to other leads, because, as I said, I'm lucky enough that I work in an organisation where the sort of lead BA cohort, we're really strong, and we lean into each other. We brainstorm. We problem solve. We bring a problem. We solve a problem. You are not on your own. You're not on your own. So be vulnerable enough to ask if you feel that you're not getting it right, if you need help. So yeah.
Wow, that's a strong question. I have to say, a very, very strong question. That will make anyone sit back and really think about that, I think.
Yeah.
Very strong question. So, outside of the BA world, we spoke on a call. Spoke before this earlier on that you're a life coach, and you do some workshops. Just tell us a little bit more around what that is and how you even got into it.
So coaching, it was more of an accidental thing. So I went years ago. This is, I think, early 2000s. It's before that. I went to a mind, body and spirit show with a friend of mine that was very much into Reiki and stuff like that. And I happened to go past a medium, and I've never had a reading or nothing like that. I thought that was a bit woo-woo. And she's like, go have a reading, and I did. And the person that did the reading said, are you some sort of coach? You have healing words? And I thought, I'm not a coach. And when I relayed it to my friend, she's like, yes, you have healing words. You always give me great advice, and you know how to listen. And lo and behold, turn around, there was a coaching stand.
Wow.
And I went on inspiration, did like a weekend course, and then I invested in a year-long course to become a coach. And I loved it. I got to, work on myself. I got to work on other people, and really understood the power of just actually holding space and just listening, and not solving problems, but getting someone from get someone from problem, but to problem and maybe possible solutions as well, so they can see a bit more. Sometimes when we have something, issue, we think about it in the same way, but I want to get you to take a step back so you can see the issue and other things around it. And on the back of that, I started thinking about my kind of journey, how I got into IT, what I had to overcome, and sort of thinking I want to help other women just to get out of their way. So I've coached women in past on how to be a trailblazer for yourself and your children. I've coached about yourself first. Last year, I did a sort of day's workshop, and it was all about reframing pleasure and play for women, because we don't play enough. We need to kind of get in touch with your inner child and just have some fun. So a real examination of fun and allowing yourself to think that I want this thing and it's okay to have it. It brings me joy.
Wow. What's that? I mean, that's a lot of I guess people that you've helped, and in some
Yeah.
real life situations. And I guess maybe that's where the term life coach comes in play, doesn't it? Because
Yeah,
it is real pivotal moments, those are, that you're speaking on.
absolutely. And for me, it's just interrupt the pattern a little bit, and I say that, and I mean that we get up at the same time, we have the same breakfast, we go to the same journey
Yeah.
to work, and our days can be really identical. So interrupt the pattern a little bit, do something a bit different. Life is about those experiences, and get out of your own way so you can do that thing that's been in the back of your mind for years. Just get a little, if I can help someone give themselves permission to do something, to try something, then that's been a good workshop, or that's been a good session.
Absolutely. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's quite interesting how some people subconsciously need that permission, I guess, because
Mm,
coming back to your earlier point, which is we hold our own, we get in our own way and hold ourselves back, and sometimes
yeah,
just being given that permission or approval by somebody else is just a nudge that some people need in their lives to take the action that they're thinking about taking. Some
absolutely.
powerful stuff. So I'm not gonna lie, I've really enjoyed our chat today,
Mhm.
Patricia. So before we come to an end, if people
Yeah.
would love to connect with you, either on to pick your brain about business analysis, or the work that you're doing on the other side as a life coach, what's the best way? Where can they find you?
LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn for everything, and I like to share on LinkedIn. So yeah, I'm on LinkedIn.
Great. No, that's great. What I'll do as well is put the link to your LinkedIn profile on the show notes, and then people can reach out to you there. So, in closing, any final thought that you'd love to leave somebody?
Um, as a leader, enjoy it, and I think being a leader is a privilege. And you have to remember that it's an absolute privilege.
Wow. Enjoy the privilege.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Enjoy the privilege.
Yeah.
Well, it's been such a great chat, and I'm really happy that we had to have it. And hopefully, I'm sure people find it useful for sure, and would really gain a lot of wisdom from your experience. So thank you so much for sharing that with us today.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed our chat.